Hey everybody, it's Rydo, and the Rise of Shadows expansion for Hearthstone is almost here, which means we can actually see the cards in the collection mode. So to see them, you should go in the crafting mode, and then click the selector here to the Rise of Shadows expansion, and then click include uncraftable cards because they're not quite craftable yet. Last time we looked at the mage cards, so this time we're going to look at the new Paladin cards. So let's hop to it. So we have a 1-mana spell called Desperate Measures. It's a rare card. It's a twin spell, cast a random Paladin secret. Immediately, Secret Paladin has been a top tier meta deck for a long time, so immediately this sounds great for a Secret Paladin. Also, there is a minion that gets, I believe, +1/+1 for every secret that's played while it's on the field. So you play that minion on the first turn, then the second turn you play this for 1 mana, then you can play the spell, the twin spell version of this for another mana. You cast 2 spells, you have a probably 3/3 minion on the field ready to attack, plus 2 secrets. That's rather good. Yeah, I really don't see any downside to a random Paladin secret. What probably should happen eventually is the idea of negative effect secrets, cards that you wouldn't probably ever play, but exist nonetheless. If we had negative effect minions and negative effect cards outside of the Warlock category anyways, that might be an interesting way to hurt and get rid of the top tier Secret Paladin meta deck. If there was a chance, like a 1 in 5 chance, that a secret gets placed on you and then next turn it does 5 damage to your hero, that would be cool. That would be funny. I'd also like to see that happen in the Hunter, when you know that the Hunters are always playing secrets in a lot of their decks also. So yeah, that as a concept could be expanded on. Next we have a 1-mana spell called Never Surrender. It's a common card. It's a secret spell. Whenever your opponent casts a spell, give your minions +2 health. This would only happen once, but for a Paladin, +2 health is pretty useful. Right now I'm playing a Paladin deck that is pretty good and has helped me get from usually ending at rank 20 to last month ending at rank 12, so I'm rather happy with my Paladin deck. I'm not sure I'd want to change too much when the expansion happens, but I probably will, just for the fun of it. You know, you've got to play the new cards. And of course we will be doing a 25 × 3 card pack opening, so 75 cards will be opened from the new expansion. Almost all of them will be from the new expansion. Some may be classic cards for my Asian and European account when the new expansion happens. Now, usually I do 50 card packs for my 3 accounts, so it would have been 150 cards. But unfortunately, this expansion also has a single player element that is coming a couple weeks later, and I don't want to use all of my gold up buying card packs to then potentially not be able to show off the single player expansion, which will probably cost about 2,500 gold also. So yeah, that kind of sucks, but whatever. I mean, they're still trying to make single player expansions happen, and in the past 3 single player expansions, they've been free, but they've been smaller events, and now they're going back to the old way where it costs gold to do the single player expansions, which is frankly just Activision Blizzard running out of money and being cheap. Next card we have is a 2-mana spell called Lightforged Blessing. It's a twin spell, give a friendly minion lifesteal, and then for another 2 mana you can give another friendly minion lifesteal. There's no benefit of giving the same minion lifesteal twice, unless it gets silenced in between the 2 times you cast that spell. I don't know if this card would get played too much, frankly. Having lifesteal is always nice, but not really necessary, I don't think. Not for a Paladin. Next we have a 2 mana, 2 attack, 2 durability weapon, and this is the first actual weapon card for the expansion. Seems like every expansion really only gives a couple of weapon cards, which is part of a long-running tradition in Hearthstone to not do anything effective with the weapons. I think they at some point came to the decision they made the wrong decisions with all their older weapons, and now they're trying to slowly put in weapons that make more sense, but it's taking them a really long time for every hero class to have at least a couple weapons that make sense, like you'd actually want to play them. So the Mysterious Blade, you lose 1 durability every time you attack with a weapon. It has a Battlecry. If you control a secret, gain +1 attack. If you're playing Secret Paladin, then this would be a 3 attack, 2 durability. I don't know why you'd be playing Secret Paladin though. I think there's better meta decks out there, so I wouldn't be surprised if this weapon still does not see a lot of play. But I don't know what else they can do. What I've often wanted to see is having different classes of the hero classes, or different styles of the hero classes. So you can play as a Paladin right now and you have an ability to summon a 1/1 Paladin by default. If you could say, actually I would like my hero ability to be something different, like instead of summoning a 1/1 Paladin, I'd like it to be give me a 1 attack, 2 durability weapon like the Rogue has. Even if you could just mix and match your hero abilities and have some variety there, that would be nice. Right now all you can do is buy faces and skins that change what the Paladin looks like and sounds like, but it doesn't change how the Paladin plays. And I could imagine there being 3 different types of Paladins with 3 different types of abilities from the start of the game, and somebody might play 3 different types of Paladins all the time. And that would certainly change professional esports players' effects, because you wouldn't be able to just study your opponent and say, oh, if he's playing a Paladin, I know exactly what cards he's playing. He might be playing several different Paladin decks with several different Paladin abilities. And there are ways to change your hero's abilities, but they're all cards that cost mana and generally don't work that well. Moving on, we have a 3 mana, 3 attack, 2 health dragon type minion called the Bronze Herald. I totally misread that. Death Rattle, add 2 4/4 dragons to your hand. Again, dragons don't seem to synergize too well. This adding 2 4/4 dragons to your hand might be fine, but they probably cost 4 mana. So actually this is probably a fine card if you have some other card that says if you have a dragon in your hand, do this. So you might want to play this if you have that other card. But if you don't have a card in your deck that says you need a dragon in your heart in your hand to activate a special ability, I don't see a reason why you would play this, because it is kind of under healthed for what it is. On average, a 3 mana minion should be about 3 attack and 3 health, or some variation or combination of those 2 numbers. And frankly, even with the new expansion, it's seeming more and more likely that most minions are 3 mana and close to 3 attack and 4 health. So the power creep is going up, while that one is below the power creep line. Next, we have a 3-mana spell called Call to Adventure. It's a rare spell, not that it matters. Common, rare, and epic all can have 2 copies of the cards in your hand. I'm saying this every recording just in case somebody's new. Only legendaries can have 1 copy of the cards in your hand. So the only other difference between a common, a rare, and an epic is how much arcane dust it would cost to craft them or disenchant them to get dust back. This spell, Call to Adventure, draw the lowest cost minion from your deck and give it +2/+2. So there are cards, and I don't know if this would work with Paladin, but there is cards in Hearthstone that will say do something to the lowest cost minion in your hand. There are also cards that will say do something to the leftmost card in your hand. And there's even a few cards that will say do something to what the rightmost card in your hand. So, what does that all mean? Well, this probably would not stay the lowest cost minion in your hand too long if it's going to get buffed. So if you draw the lowest cost minion in your hand, say it's a 1/1 and it becomes a 3/3, it's probably going to eventually be that there is a 2/2 in your hand, and thus it's not the lowest cost minion. However, if you played this early game and then it became the leftmost card, which means it's the oldest card that you've drawn, the leftmost minion, and you can play those cards, you might still be able to buff something. And there are minions out there that synergize with being buffed very well. If you played this and you had something that said do something to the rightmost card, which means it is the latest card you've drawn, that also might synergize. So this is the rightmost and leftmost concept is something that was introduced, I think, in the last expansion, and it seems like there might be some slight extending of those concepts. But yeah, this really would be a 5+ card synergy, frankly. You're going to be playing 4 or 5 cards before you even play that minion. And it's probably not going to be something like Cthulhu, because Cthulhu, I think, is in Wild. Cthulhu does the amount of attack it has in damage randomly applied to your minions and your opponents. So if you buffed him up to 30 health, 30 attack, then he would do potentially 30 attack to your opponent when you played him and win the game in 1 turn. But I don't think that's what this is for. I think this is for some other cards. We'll look at that later. Next we have a 3-mana, 4 attack, 3 health legendary minion. That's what the dragon's all about. Called Commander Risa. Risa? I'm going to go with Risa. Your secrets trigger twice. It seems like what they're doing here is pushing for Paladins to play more secrets. That's weird because I've never really thought that Paladin had any secrets worth playing. But maybe we will find some, and maybe this will make sense. That being said, a lot of the secrets that trigger twice may not matter too much anyways. Next we have a 5-mana, 3 attack, 3 health minion called the Dragon Speaker. Give all dragons in your hand +3/+3. This is something that starts to build the idea of playing a bunch of dragons in the deck. But I'm still not sure I have confidence that you actually could do that. There's just not enough dragons, and they don't balance out where every dragon that you could possibly have in a Paladin deck would be worth having in a Paladin deck. I think at best, even now with this new expansion, you'd probably want to have 15 cards at most that are related to dragons, and then just 15 cards that are related to something completely different. Next, we have a 5 mana spell called Duel. Summon a minion from each player's deck. They fight. Well, would that work with some things with Death Rattle? Sure. Would it potentially summon a 10 mana minion to your field? Sure. Would there be some scenarios that happen more often than not where your opponent summons a 2 or 3 mana minion and you summon a 8, 9, 10 mana minion? Sure. Seems just a little too random of a card. This is the kind of card that a new player would play and it'd be like, okay, that's cool, whatever. But I'm not sure that there's a real strategy here until you did something like have only 1 minion in your entire deck and just spells galore on top of that, which maybe that would work, but that would be kind of crazy too. Next we have a 10 mana, 4 attack, 12 health dragon type legendary minion called Nazari. Battlecry, restore both heroes to full health. I feel like there was a druid card that did this, so it seems a little weird that now there's a Paladin card that does this. Also, what does this really accomplish? It just resets you. It just starts the game over on the 10th turn. It just means your opponent will have fewer cards and you will have fewer cards. And frankly, the way the fatigue system works in Hearthstone, which I hate the way the fatigue system works. It's annoying. It takes forever to actually fatigue something compared to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Collectible card game where if you run out of cards, you just lose the game immediately, and there are strategies to make your opponent run out of cards. There's more strategies on Hearthstone to win the game because you've run out of cards than there are to actually lose the game by making your opponent run out of cards. Right now with Mechathune, I generally would like to see that if an opponent runs out of cards, a coin gets flipped and a victor is just determined that way, or even above that, maybe just a draw is declared and both people win. That would be fine too. I think the idea of introducing a draw might be a cool idea. It could push the win ratio much higher than what it is. Hearthstone tries to give you a win ratio of about 50%, which is not good. Most single player experiences in games are definitely at a 80, 90, close to 100% win ratio. There's plenty of single player games I've played where I've never died. I've never lost. Maybe I took a little damage, but I've never lost a fight or anything. To bang your head against a brick wall, which is what it feels like a lot of times when playing Hearthstone, and get at best slightly above a 50% win ratio is really, really frustrating in a lot of scenarios, particularly for new players. And I just don't feel like the fatigue system helps with that anyways. It should just be like, alright, you've both gone at least 30 turns, or at least 25 turns in most cases, before anybody would run out of cards, even if they're playing cards to draw more cards. If you've spent nearly 15 to 30 minutes playing the deck, playing that game, it should just be like a draw timer or something, so it can't be manipulated. And then just give a draw. Draw, both people win. Draw, both people lose. Draw, nobody wins, nobody loses. Nobody moves anywhere in the ranks. That would be perfectly fine with me. Versus just having to drag on a game. They often goes on forever. So what I wanted to see here is just in general look at the Paladin cards and see what we've got as far as secrets. It would double Noble Sacrifice is used a lot, so that happening twice would be good. Returning something to life with 1 health twice might be good. Cast 6 spells on your minions, and it summons this for that quest card. Let's see. Yeah, I'm trying to see what else would even be a Paladin specific card that makes sense. Here you have an Echo card that you could play 5 times on the 10th turn to buff up something. Draw the lowest card from your deck, give it +2. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really see a reason here. Paladin as a concept is about buffing up cards, but this could be the lowest card from your deck. No, because it's lowest cost card, right? Not lowest attack. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what the strategy even is here. There's something that's definitely not locking in. Here we go. Cast each spell you cast on your minions this game on this one. So 7th turn you could buff that one up quite a bit. Hero power. This is the hero replacement that summons the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. If you can do that, you win the game if all 4 are on the field. But yeah, I don't see it. Lowest cost minion from your deck. So if we look at all the standard cards in neutral and we just start looking at the lowest cost minion, you've got a couple 0 minions. Here's a great example of a beast type and a non-specific type of cards. This class card was one of the first cards ever made. It is completely replaced by this. There's no reason ever that you would play this instead of this. You might have both of these in your deck and have just 2 copies of this and 2 copies of this. But in all realisticness, what they should have done when this came out in the Knights of the Frozen Throne is simply said, instead of replacing this and making this useless, let's just mod this. Let's just change the art, change the name, make it a beast type, and get rid of that. And unfortunately, as card games get older and older, you're going to see more of that. Cards that get just replaced and are pointless, and if they're classic cards, they'll never go in the wild. But if they are wild cards, you'll never see them almost certainly. This card, I guess, could be nerfed and put in the Hall of Fame, and may eventually, but I bet they don't care that much. On the other hand, why not potentially have 30 cards that are 0 mana 1/1s and just let somebody play that deck if they want to play it? They'd almost certainly lose, but it would be silly. It would be crazy, certainly. Alright, so what we're looking for is something that would benefit by being buffed. And I frankly think it's a dragon, and only that one dragon I'm thinking of. Like, this is the Secret Keeper. Whenever a secret is played, gain +1/+1. I doubt the Secret Keeper would get +1/+1 twice if a secret activates twice. It gets a +1/+1 when the secret card is played, so it really wouldn't synergize well with what your the new cards that have been added. We're already up to the 2 mana cards. And there's nothing here that benefits from being buffed. This one might benefit a little bit because it switches the attack and health of a minion. No, that's not even the card I'm thinking of. Still looking. You might have something like this where Lorewalker Cho is a legendary card. It's pretty cheap and it's pretty helpful, but it dies pretty quickly. So maybe there would be an idea of playing Lorewalker Cho. But I don't think that concept would be great. Come on. There's literally nothing here. If your deck has no 2-cost minions, give all minions in your deck +1/+1. Prince Kelith, whatever this card is, however you pronounce that, that would probably be a good one if that's your lowest cost card. Yeah, that would kind of make sense. So maybe you could get a low cost legendary that's 2 mana, but then that means you can have no other minions in your hand that are less than 2 mana or even 2 mana. Yeah, and I'm spending too much time looking for this card. Yeah, going through every single mech card in the classic set, and I don't see anything. I don't see anything in the 3s. Yeah, unless there's a new card that makes sense. I think the first and only card that really synergizes with drawing the lowest card and giving it +2/+2 is the dragon. Well, drawing this and giving it +2/+2 wouldn't be terrible. That would be pretty good. Where is that dragon? I believe it's a 4 mana dragon. Can I even find the thing? I should probably just type dragon instead of going through everything. Yeah, the idea of making a deck and not having anything below a 4 is kind of crazy. And I'll type in also target because that's, well, that didn't work. Let's just see if we can then type in the phrase target. Alright. Oh, is it a Paladin card? It's a wild card, isn't it? All cards. That's why I can't find it. It's because it doesn't. It's been moved to wild. Here it is. Dragonkin Sorcerer. Whenever you target this minion with a spell, gain +1/+1. So, if you're playing in wild and this was the lowest card you had, then you would add it to your hand and give it +2/+2, which would make it a 5/7. Theoretically, however this is programmed, theoretically, the way it's written, it should then also give itself +1/+1, which would be cool. But then the cards would have to be something along, where's a left card? This one destroys minions on the field on the left. Let's see. There you go. The only leftmost minion, give the leftmost minion in your hand +2/+2, is a warlock card, so that does not really synergize at all with the paladin. So any concept there and the idea of a rightmost and leftmost cards have not been expanded to the point where it makes sense. Here we have Stargazer Luna. After you play the rightmost card in your hand, draw a card. And that is a mage card. So, yeah. That basically was a long, drawn-out way of saying that there kinda is nothing, no new strategy here. There's beginnings of strategies, but as far as the paladin cards, everything kind of doesn't work together enough. We could potentially just see how many dragons have been added to neutral. It's 3. So, like, give all dragons +3/+3 in your hand is probably the best card, but that's not actually a dragon. So I'm a little disappointed in the Paladin expansion. We've spent a lot of time looking at this stuff too. Maybe there's a dragon there. The strategy's starting to make sense. Maybe there's a secret strategy starting to make sense, but most of these cards don't make sense, and they're just doing nothing for them. Now, it's probably a good thing in the long run that I am disappointed with the Paladin cards, because people have been playing Secret Paladin and people have been playing Paladin quite a lot and winning quite a lot with that. So it's long past due that Paladin get a little nerfed in the ranking, and it gets harder. And that might explain some of these secret cards in particular, although I guess there was only one secret card that's actually a secret card. If the idea was to weaken secrets, I don't know why you would have secrets work twice. Weird. Well, I'm gonna leave that there because this went long. That's gonna be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.